Welcome to episode 4 of Talking Shirts. I'm Mike from Hull KR Shirts, and today I'm going to take a look at this 1988-1989 home shirt by Adidas. You'll have noticed in the first 3 episodes I covered the 3 shirts that we used in 2019. When I put it out on the internet asking if anybody wanted me to cover anything in particular, Chris Sharp got back to me and asked me to cover something from a while ago rather than doing something more recent. So what I've done is I've decided today to cover this shirt. So this shirt was used from 1986 all the way through to 1989. It was used with 3 different sponsors. So we had Hansen print to start with in 86. In 87, that then moved on to Hansen white print. And then in 1988-1989, the Mansfield beer sponsor was used across the front of the shirt. Now, what I find really interesting about this is they didn't actually produce new shirts when they changed the sponsor. All they did was put a patch over the front. So what I'll do is I'll bring an image up just to your right hand side there, where you'll see the Mansfield Beers sponsor has actually been sewed on. And when I turn the shirt inside out, you can actually see the Hansen white print, which was still on the shirt. So I found that really interesting that they didn't go to the effort of making new shirts, they purely just recovered the sponsor. So this shirt, as I say, was used in 1988-1989 and will probably go down as being one of the most popular Hull KR shirts ever. Did a little bit of looking into it, and I found that when these were on sale in the late 80s, you could pick one up for £9.99, which, God, you know, I imagine that they'll sell quite a few of those. And I think people now wish they could pick one up for £9.99 because I sure as hell do. You'll notice that we've got the Hull Kingston Rovers badge appears in the same inverted colourway that it does on the 2020 shirt. So that's a nice little throwback to one of the most popular shirts that we've actually had. This design has been used quite a lot in Hull KR history. You know, you can think in the last 20 years we've probably used 4 or 5 different variations of a white shirt with a red band. Back in the 80s, it was all the rage to have 3/4 length sleeves. So you'll notice that the sleeves aren't a normal crop length, they're actually 3/4 length. So they're not quite a long sleeve, they're not a short sleeve, it's a 3/4 sort of in the middle there. It also features the Adidas Trefoil logo, which we'll know nowadays as being the Adidas Originals logo. So that is something which is a really trendy thing to have, whether it be on a garment or an accessory. It's something which is really, really good. Obviously the shoe brand as well is something that's a really strong market. So I'll swing the shirt round to the back for you now. So as you can see, it carries a number 8 on the back. Back in the 80s and probably into the 90s, into the early 2000s, player names didn't feature on the reverse of a shirt. It was purely just a squad number. So whichever player played for a given game, they were just given the squad number for the position that they were playing. So obviously we would know that number 8 would be a starting prop. So this could have been worn by 1, 2, 3, 4 different players. So it'll be well worn. You can actually see on the back, the number is actually a sewn on patch. So the red bar finishes around the back, and then it is a big sort of sewn on patch there. And again, that's very different to the way that we would see a number applied nowadays. It would normally be heat bonded to the reverse of the shirt, whereas in these days it was actually sewn on. So the number 8 is sewn onto a patch, and then the patch is then sewn onto the back of the shirt. Now, with this shirt, I am slightly questionable of whether it is a match worn shirt, if it's a match issue shirt, or if it is just a replica. There's a few things that sort of crop up. So number 1, there isn't no reinforced stitching in the neckline, which was quite apparent at that given time when these shirts were used. And the other thing as well is the Adidas logo appears in a much smaller form, and it is also sewn on in quite a lot of the pictures which I have found. I have found 1 or 2 where it has got the large logo and then it has been heat bonded onto the front. So I've not completely ruled it out, but there is a potential that it's not a worn shirt. The way I look at it is it's a piece of Hull KR history. It's the oldest shirt that I've got in my collection. So regardless of whether it is a replica, whether it's match worn, or even if it's just match issued, I'm really, really happy to have this shirt in my collection. So thank you very much for joining us today for episode 4. I'll be back on episode 5 when I'm going to cover the 2010 away shirt. Thank you for watching.